Good evening, Comicsgate. What is happening? It's Adam Post. Where else would I be except on my own YouTube channel? Leg Kick, what is happening? Good to see you. Leg Kick, thank you for sending articles, by the way. Always really helpful when you're sending articles. I really appreciate it. Gives me good ideas. I came across the absolute craziest article today. You would hardly believe it. Apparently, I'm not the only one doing mermaid comics. There's an SJW mermaid comic that's coming out called, well, it's pretty crazy, actually. First, on My Mermaids comic, it's going along pretty great. I really appreciate everybody for the support. Thanks so much for that. Campaign is moving along. How is it going? Lock It Up, Inc. Lock it up. I like that idea. Lock them all up. Tom, what's happening? Tom Ensid. Oh my God, I am never getting glasses. I don't care if I can't see. That's my problem. Tom Anacleto. Tom Anacleto, how you doing? Shadowhawk, what's up, my man? What's up, my man? You guys will not believe it. There is another Mermaids book that's coming out, but it's not Comicsgate. It's not Comicsgate. It's not CG. It's SJW. What am I talking about? Now, we'll get into the DC Comics article too, but I kind of hyped this up as, hey, it's about mermaids. It is about mermaids. So what are they doing? What is this? Would you believe me? Would you believe me? Please do. That today an article comes out in Bleeding Cool. So let's get into the article. Drinking Games with Cat Lay's Thirsty Mermaids graphic novel. Now, it's called Thirsty Mermaids. It's SJW. Its original title and its promo art was Mer Bitches, which I think is insane. And I was going to use this as part of the graphic for the promo for the video, but I'm like, I don't want people thinking that I'm calling mermaids bitches. They're so degenerate, these people. So they couldn't use mer bitches, so they called them Thirsty Mermaids. So this is amazing because it really made me think of, you guys have all heard by now of the I'm Not Starfire book. And, you know, you have that lead character. And similarly, you have these characters here where it's like, they're just failures. They're not successful. They don't seem to overcome their struggles. They just seem to hate their existence and they get trapped in stupid, disempowering situations. So instead of like what we love about comics, getting empowered by your situations, overcoming your challenges and becoming like more effective and stronger, SJW stuff is all like, oh, we're all failing, but we're going to have to just live with it. But life is terrible. End of story. It's like, all right, well, how do you feel after you read a story like that? So let's see, but it's just me. Maybe I'm partial because I am Mr. Mermaids after all. I like mine better. See what you think. Drinking Games with Cat Lay's Thirsty Mermaids graphic novel. Last month at the New York Comic Con online event, comic book creator Kate Lee admitted that, yes, mermaids could get drunk. Admitted mermaids could get drunk, which they can. That's no problem. But this was less of a question of research rather than it was of narrative necessity. Quote, I decided they could for her new graphic novel, end quote. Thirsty Mermaids. Used to be Merbitches, which is a terrible name. She describes it as my new graphic novel with Gallery 13 Gallery 13 is the publisher, about 3 drunk mermaids who get stranded on dry land as humans. Okay. Mermaids, drunk, dry land. Has that got you interested yet? Let's see what happens. Okay. Kate Lay is best known for her work on Lumberjanes, as well as her original graphic novel, Snapdragon. That I know nothing about. Thirsty Mermaids is listed thus. The raucous and literal fishes out of water graphic novel, prolific comic artist and writer Cat Lay, creator of the acclaimed Snapdragon and co-author of the Eisner and GLAAD award-winning series Lumberjanes. Something tells me that my book, The Mermaids, is probably more empowering for the readers than Lumberjanes, because it's written like a normal freaking story where the main character overcomes problems. Fresh out of shipwreck wine, 3 tipsy mermaids decide to magically masquerade as humans and sneak onto land to indulge in much more drinking and a whole lot of fun in the heart of a local seaside tourist trap. But the good times abruptly end the next morning. Through the haze of killer hangovers, the trio realizes they never actually learned how to break the spell. So they had a spell to turn themselves into humans. All 3 of them were so careless that they're going to party, and they're not even thinking about like, well, all right, we're going to get completely drunk on dry land. We might just die. We're going to convert ourselves to human beings. None of the 3 of them was like, hey, do you know the spell to get out of this? Like, just in case. None of them. Okay, fine. So the trio realizes they never actually learned how to break the spell and are now stuck on land for the foreseeable future, which means everything from enlisting the aid of their I know we just met, can we crash with you, bartender friend, struggling to make sense of the world around them, and even trying to get a job with no skill set. Most people don't have skills that get jobs, especially entry-level jobs. So I don't know why that's a big deal. All the while attempting to somehow return to the sea. This is really bothering me. Okay. And making the most of their current situation with tenacity and camaraderie, especially if someone else is buying. Who do you pitch this to that's like, you know what? That's good. Although she tweets, it originally had a different title. Kaylee tweets, this is the rough and final cover I made for my original Thirsty Mermaids pitch back when I was calling it Merbitches. And who is this for, Merbitches? Well, because I came up with this interesting story, subscribe to my channel and click the bell for notifications. That's important. That's important because otherwise you're not going to find out more stories like this. What do you guys think of this concept? I got to say hi to Trevor. Hey, Trevor, what's happening, my man? Jamie Anderson, good to see you as always. I am so glad I made you a mod. Why didn't I make Shadowhawk a mod? I didn't even make Leg Kick a mod? I am stingy with my modding, especially with you great guys. I've seen you guys like a number of times. All right, Trevor, great to see you. Jamie, great to see you. Guy from Red Bank, a pleasure as always. Is that Red Bank, New Jersey? I always assume it is. These people don't care. It's about their message of a world that has no hope, but a cycle of nothing to look forward to. Yeah, what is that? Who wants to read stories about that? Who wants to read stories like, what does that do for your imagination? It's justifying people like hating themselves and never wanting to accomplish anything. It's very scary. It's very, very creepy. I'm not a fan of that. J Money, what's up, J Money? Oh, Sepultrek Night. Where can you get this masterpiece? You're going to have to wait. It is on Amazon for pre-order, but it will come out in February. Perhaps before the Mermaids, but the Mermaids are worth waiting for. They will be better. Dale says, oh, no. And the answer to Dale is, oh, yes, Dale. Oh, yes. It is Red Bank, New Jersey. I guessed it correctly. Another mod is born. Another mod is born. Shadowhawk says, I'm not on Twitter, but thanks anyway, Adam. No, it's not about being on Twitter, man. Being a mod means that you can publish a link. See? That's all. It's nothing to do with Twitter. Like the other guys, with the wrench thing. It's not a big deal. But it's just an appreciation for you. Appreciation for you being here and for you being you. So you guys basically are in love with this project. I know I am. No, I think this is completely ridiculous. I don't know why they do stuff like this. Although the pattern is getting more and more disturbing. It's not even a matter of like, well, the quality is not that great. No, it's not the quality. It's the premise behind the work. That's disturbing. I mean, I don't want anybody in our society reading stuff where people are just, disempowered because they're in an irresponsible situation. This is like half of a comedy. If like you would watch, Hey Dude, Where's My Car? If you guys ever saw that, that was cool. Hey Dude, it was funny. It was stupid and it was funny. This is just like, it's stupid and it's got no end. And they just push themselves on other people. And their entire situation is ridiculous. There's obviously no redemption going on here. It's just they're being stupid. Have you guys? J Money wants to be appreciated. All right. Well, did I mod you? Everybody appreciate J Money tonight. Hey, it's Vilened. Thanks for showing up, Vilened. Great to see you. Vilened, you missed the story. I can't do much to go over it again, but bottom line is there's an SJW. Well, maybe you were even here before, but you got to watch it. There's an SJW Mermaids trying to compete with the Mermaids. They will never compete. We shall win. They're not crowdfunding, so we'll never know if it raises more funds or whatever, but whatever. Their idea is stupid. Our idea, fantastic. What is DC Comics up to lately? Good question. This is coming from Bleeding Cool. DC Comics is advertising for a new VP and 2 new directors. So DC Comics is doing some hiring. They've been doing a massive amount of layoffs. But the layoffs really are absolutely necessary. Why? Because the way they were set up was to just produce tons and tons of periodical comics that there are fewer and fewer customers for. It was obviously losing lots of money. So they have new owners. They're trying to figure out how to make money. You know, at least they're thinking about how can they make money. Are they going to do a great job doing it? I have no idea. But here they go. DC is advertising for a new vice president and 2 directors. And I think I have some insight into this. I'll give you my 2 cents. Oh, if you haven't subscribed to the channel, please do. Click the bell for notifications. Courtesy of the Warner Brothers career portal, and despite 2 waves of high-level employee redundancies at DC Comics, DC wants 3 new senior positions filled, including a number that could be filled by departing talent if they wanted to go back into the fold. Now, the guy who writes, okay, Rich Johnston, who I prefer to call Rich Johnson, but it's okay. Rich Johnston is his real name. He's a comics retailer, I believe. He's sort of the main troll here over at Bleeding Cool. If they thought that the talent was there at DC to get the job done, to be accountable, to be capable, to be competent, they would have kept them. It's much easier for a company to retain and even do a minor amount of refocusing with existing employees than it is to go on the outside and hire in new people. But what I can promise you they're going to do, which they wouldn't have done with any staff that they had there already, is they're going to bring people in, and actually you'll see the job descriptions. They're going to have very specific job descriptions, which are going to be what they need to accomplish. And the people that they hire for these senior positions are going to show success and prior experience. If they don't have like an existing experience in whatever the field is, marketing, whatever the hell the positions are, we'll get into positions in a second. But if they don't have that experience, they're not going to get hired. So you can't take, no offense to Bob Harris, but you can't take Bob Harris or Dan DiDio and say, hey, Dan, now you're in charge of, you're the director for marketing and project management. He'd be like, what does that mean? Like, he's handled a lot of business for them, but this is serious stuff. They want to hire these people in to be responsible for results. And that's how you can manage a business. You got to have people with expertise. So the first position is director for marketing and project management. 2, develop, launch, and lead strategic and coordinated cross-organizational initiatives across DC Comics, related Warner Media business units, and external partners. So they want someone that's really sharp and has their act together. They don't need to know a damn thing about comics, but they need to be able to develop like a business plan. They should be able to come and show that they've worked in a number of different industries and that they've planned and budgeted like a marketing plan and a marketing initiative for them to go in and kind of take over a little bit of a niche somewhere and be able to, figure out and be responsible for setting up how to exploit their content, but in a bunch of different places. Inside DC, inside Warner Media, which is obviously much bigger than DC, where they have their streaming and their TV and their films and their licensing, and people outside the company as well. So that person has to be like a hard-driving business development, marketing kind of person. Well, this is actually project management. They have a separate person for business development. So this should be the second position, really. Director of Business Development someone who leads strategic development process and drives operating plans with DC business leads for sole focus on accelerating revenue and market share growth. So this person, the business development person, will work hand in hand with this project management. Like, they want to make some money over there. They're not fooling around. And they should. They should have people in place that have experience with creating a business plan to target like a specific market, or have a strategic relationship with a video game company, or whatever the hell they're going to do. So they're looking for very strong, competent people that if they were at DC Comics, they wouldn't be in the shit that they're in now. Or let's just say they wouldn't have the problems that they have now. Vice President, leave this thing on here. Oops. Whoopsie doodle. All right. Vice President of Editorial Strategy and Programming to develop strategic recommendations to optimize DC Comics' annual editorial slate. Listen to this. Optimize DC Comics' annual editorial slate and promotional programming plans across key retail and digital distribution channels. Let's read that one again. That sounds like a big job. Vice President of Editorial Strategy and Programming. Okay. Develop strategic recommendations to optimize DC Comics' annual editorial slate and promotional programming plans across key retail and digital distribution channels. So this would be like, they're going to make editorial decisions for strategic purposes. So you can see how the three of these characters would be working together in these positions. They're going to utilize people who, you've got your business development guy who's going to help come up with this business processes. You've got the marketing guy who's going to promote their intellectual property catalog to other elements inside of DC and Warner Media and places outside the company. And then you've got this editorial strategy and programming to try to figure out, like, all right, how do we drive our content creation, our new content into things that are going to help new business development and get us marketing our stuff in other channels. I mean, this is all like actually intelligent type of stuff to do. Hopefully they can execute on this, and then they can have a future for DC Comics, probably not in periodicals, but in everything else. But this role will work closely with the editor-in-chief to develop editorial priorities for the editorial staff to enhance character and narrative content to entertain our global DC fan base. Interesting that, okay, so editorial strategy and programming is kind of the bridge between the business development guys, this business development and the marketing positions, and the editorial and the comics and the content creation, which honestly I find it kind of interesting. This is not dumb. This is smart stuff to do. And then as they break down, responsibilities for these people, they're really going to be held accountable to actually do this stuff. It's not enough to just be like, hey, sorry, it didn't work. Like, no, this is your role. You've got to function. You guys have to work as a team. Hopefully they'll have success doing this. EC Publications Inc. Who the hell is that? Is that DC? I guess maybe it is. This is, all right, wait a minute. So the director for marketing, I don't know why you list that first. The most important of these roles is this director of business development for DC Publishing. And I say that because they're really going to drive, like, that's the whole McGillicuddy, really. That's like the whole main thing for the positions. The business development is basically business plan stuff. Warner Media seeks a director for DC business development for the DC Publishing Finance Department. Leads strategic and development process and drives operating plans with DC business leads with sole focus on accelerating revenue and market share growth. DC business leads are going to be people that are in charge of different units. So this person will be above other managers. Develop business growth strategies, drive operational changes to align with DC strategies, drive operational changes. We got to fire these 15 guys. We got to fire those 25 guys, that sort of stuff. Manage alignment of DC's strategic planning process with operational calendar. Can you see like all of this corporate strategic stuff? Like they're really serious and meticulous about this stuff. That's why like nobody at DC was going to really be able to stay. And Jim Lee is probably watching this in a whirlwind. And word is Jim Lee's might leave. You know, maybe he leaves, maybe not. I don't know how he fits in with his culture. I'm sure he's sophisticated and that he understands all of this. But if he could do any of this stuff, they would have had him doing it. Good Lord, look at this stuff that they want them to do. This is like really, really intense. All right, just looking, this is, we'll just do this one position. The daily work. So this is on your daily to-do list, your everyday work for your business development position as a director of DC Publishing. And this isn't even what the general manager, that guy Daniel Cherry is already doing. This is people under Daniel Cherry trying to get the job done for him. Strategic development, drive strategic development process with DCE business units, business leads to identify, develop, and prioritize DC growth strategies, including editorial slate, talent selection, content genres, technology, industry innovations, and distribution strategies. Establish analytical framework for strategy development with business leads and align with operational calendar. Good Lord. What, this is just like an everyday thing. Proactively recommend business strategies and operational processes to GM of DC and Senior Vice President of Business Strategy, Finance, and Admin to future-proof the business and to improve revenues and margin growth. This guy's like running the business. Business analytics, evaluate, and this really tells you that they were so unhappy with the current management of DC. They just looked at them and they were like, what the hell are these guys doing there? Because these are skill sets that this is as if they had zero management to start with. This whole thing, like business analytics, evaluate and track macro industry trends, including state of industry, market outlook, competitive information, and innovations, align with studio and networks research team on market and consumer insights as inputs to strategic planning process. Develop business case for strategic plans, including investment analysis, ROI, risks, and opportunities. Partner with finance and general manager to develop KPIs with business leads. KPIs are numbers. So if you have a KPI with your position and the whole division, those are, honestly, I don't remember what the hell they stand for, but it's the numbers behind measurement systems to be able to evaluate what the hell is going on. There's like very strict accountability with KPIs. Update DCE's overall business plans as required. They're not done. Drive, develop operating model and implementation of strategies. Drive development of operating model business leads, including alignment on annual business objectives, priorities, and KPIs. Identify, impact, and plan changes necessary to update processes, interactions, and resource investments, including system requirements. Wow. Identify, impact, and plan changes necessary to... What is the general manager going to do if these guys are doing all this stuff? It almost seems like he's just going to be like handing information back and before. Hey, thanks, LK. KPI is key performance indicators. Yeah, that's right. We could Google it, but I'm sure it's right. LK says, I've seen enough corporate stuff in my own work to know I'm not sold that they are serious. I need to see proof this is more than just someone taking a Warner template and slapping DC on it. Hey, Mr. Yanfui. No, they are throwing a Warner template on this 1,000%. So just a couple other notes, and I want to compare this with how they're using Crunchyroll. Identify, impact, and plan changes necessary to update processes, interactions, and resource investments, including systems requirements. Develop project plan and timeline to implement strategy. Update stakeholders and DCE executives on progress and any risks identified. Like this guy, they're running the whole business for them. Motivate and enroll senior leadership team to implement strategies and processes to improve business performance. Other special projects as required. The essentials. Let's just say minimum 8 years experience in consulting, strategic planning, and business development. MBA or comparable consulting firm experience required. And then it goes on from there. So they're looking for serious business people with a background. Now, LK was saying like, well, what are they doing here? Are they going to, he's like, he's not convinced. Are they going to just throw a Warner Media business template on this? Meaning to say like, Are they going to take DC? Are they just taking DC Comics and then kind of putting it through a meat grinder and then, grinding out, some corporate little shell? Yes, that's exactly what they're doing. There's no question that they're taking DC, and they're throwing all these business disciplines on it, so that they can look at it as something like it's not just an IP catalog, and then everybody wanders around in every which direction saying, well, it's comics. We don't know, sorry, we didn't make money. And, oh, well, let's just relaunch the New 52 and let's do this and let's do that. It's bringing discipline to the company that it never had before. And they need it. They really need it. But they need it not just because DC wasn't doing well, but they have to have business disciplines in place and reporting things and things like KPIs that, a way to make the numbers make sense. That, look, even if things go wrong, you should be able to point out and say, well, what was your plan? Like, what was supposed to happen? For example, one of the first things that DC did when they started doing their shakeup was they were like, we are not making DC Direct toys anymore. Cut it out. Stop it. No more DC Direct toys, because they had millions of dollars invested in DC Direct toys, and the millions of dollars invested in DC Direct toys made no business sense for the business that they're in. They're not in like the toy manufacturing business. Marvel was in a similar situation when they merged with Toy Biz. They wound up selling the rights out to other companies to make toys eventually, because they're not in the toy business. It's nice to be in the toy business and to own your own IP and be able to make a profit. But there are all sorts of other things you have to do to be competitive in the toy business. So what's happening with DC is they're looking at the business and they're saying, you guys are running this like not like a business whatsoever. You can't show me a strategic plan, a business plan that fits. They had a Warner Brothers store like a Disney store, Louis. They had them. They didn't work. And let's say they want to open DC Comics stores or DC Comics stores that are just like merchandise stores. They could do that too. And they might even do it. But now what they're saying is like, listen, if you want to spend $20 million on a project for DC Comics, it's got to have a business plan. It's got to just be like, not like Luis just suggested, they need a Warner store, okay, which is not a bad idea. It's fine. But they need a business plan that shows that the market looks like it wants a Warner store. And then they need the money set aside to do it. And then they need the management team set aside to plan it, to implement it, and then to execute on it, and then to manage it on an ongoing basis. So what I'm seeing with DC now is they're saying, okay, well, we own this IP. Obviously, people are aware of it. They want it. Now we need to figure out, it's not just like, let's put it on t-shirts. And it's not just like, well, I don't know, let's just spend millions trying to make our own high-end toys and sell them to comic book collectors. It's let's figure out like what businesses we could actually be in and use the leverage of owning the intellectual property. I was saying this on a stream the other day. Like I was on the board of Platinum Studios that did the comics movie Cowboys and Aliens for like 2 years. And it was a lot of fun. They got a license to make, based on the comic, not even on the movie, to do slot machines, online slot machines. Ridiculous. Like online gaming. They got like, it was a 6-figure sum for the rights to be able to just do that. Licensing is fantastic. It's all free money. But you have to drive it somehow. Like you have to get people to be aware of the characters. Producing comics is fine, but it doesn't get people aware of the characters anymore. So what's their business strategy for exploiting the characters and getting awareness for the characters beyond making comics, beyond making movies, beyond making occasional TV shows? What are you doing with video games? What are you doing in other online games, apps? What are you doing with the digital marketing of the entire catalog they have? Now who's going to make the high-end toys? Who's making low-end toys for different markets? So they really need a sophisticated business team to come in and actually look at that. I think the way they're doing it makes a lot of sense. if they get the right people to do these positions. Not makes a lot of sense for the fact that they're going to respect comics. Just they have to turn it into a viable business unit. It's they own Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, Green Lantern. Like they own so much, they can't make money from it. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make any sense. So that's why they've got to bring people in where things can be managed. Letkick knows that I'm crazy for Shooter. Letkick said this about Shooter. Shooter made Marvel money until new management wanted him to do things that were unethical or made no sense. Well, Shooter hasn't, worked in, mainstream comics or even, major independent comics for years. But he did make sure that when the books were published, they were made for readers and that collectors were respected and that retailers were respected. Even that creators were respected. Shooter got the first royalties for comic book creators. A lot of people don't know that about him. He fought to get royalties for creators, and it was because it was the right thing to do, but it was also because he wanted to retain talent. And that's where he got some of the best talent from. It's because they were able to offer royalties. People actually made money working on Marvel books in the 1980s, thanks to that. He also created that Epic Comics imprint while he was at Marvel, which was like the first creator-owned imprint. So yeah, I really like the discipline of him as an editor-in-chief. I thought it made really good comics. It's what really drew me into comics as a kid. And that's exactly where like they wanted you to be. They wanted you to buy the comics. They wanted you to be obsessed with the comics. They wanted you to buy all the Marvel comics. They made it affordable so you could buy all the Marvel comics. But those days are gone because periodicals are in so much trouble, which is why in CG, we're so focused on producing graphic novels, whether it's, Cyberfrog, College of the Dead, Johnny Phantasm, I think is actually comics, but you get the idea. Only Peter Simeti can make individual comics. He's allowed, but everybody else, we've got to make trade paperbacks. That's the important thing. So that's my take on what's going on with DC. I think they are taking like a very traditional corporate approach to it. I don't think they're going to really respect the heritage of the comics, except to their understanding of like, well, let's try not to, as much as possible, absolutely ruin the intellectual property. So I think they won't do that. But it remains to be seen. It does remain to be seen. Had you guys heard this? No, I don't really like that story. This is a freaking crazy story. This is not comics related at all. But I thought this was kind of nuts. I just came across this yesterday. So I guess people dance on TikTok and they make money. I don't know how I get that as a job. Adam Post resume? I don't have an Adam Post resume. No such damn thing. Never curmudgeon. This is coming from MovieWeb, which is a pretty cool site. Watch as TikTok dancer captures moment burglar breaks into her home. So she's dancing for her TikTok video. And then all of a sudden, this guy who's like a stalker just kind of breaks into her house while she's dancing live. It's not funny. It's probably terrifying. But the video footage shows a shocked Hannah Viverette watch a man break into her home while she's dancing, while she's working. TikTok dancer Hannah Viverette was interrupted during a broadcast as a man broke into her house. Footage from the incident has since gone viral. Have you guys heard of this story? This is very important. Footage from the incident gone viral. Viverette was dancing alone in her apartment, which is located in, well, why are you telling me where it's located? We're going to go visit her? When she has enough stalkers. All right, let's go visit her. After this, we drive down to Maryland. When she noticed the man opened up the door from her balcony, which is on the second story, the intruder, 36-year-old Angel Moises Rodriguez Gomez, was taken into custody by law enforcement and charged with third-degree and fourth-degree burglary, second-degree assault, stalking, and malicious destruction of property. I don't know what property he destroyed. Now, is she beautiful? I don't know. You guys can decide in the chat. But nobody should be broken into while they're dancing on video. In the TikTok video, Hannah Viverette can be seen asking, "Who are you? Who are you?" She can then be heard telling her Alexa device to turn off the music she was dancing to. And this guy, Angel Moises Gomez, asks, Am I your friend? No, she responds. Are you sure? He asks. Yes. Viviret tells him as she bolts out the door with her cell phone to call the cops, which is always the right thing to do. If Angel breaks into your house, you should call the cops immediately. The video is pretty disturbing to see. I didn't find it to be that disturbing. I thought it was like a little odd. We can play the video. I'm sure we won't get in too much trouble. He was apprehended by the police and then he was let go because they're afraid he might get COVID. Not even joking, literally telling you that. Let's watch a little of this video.
She was filming a
There she is
TikTok
dancing,
video when
freaking out.
the unthinkable happened.
A terrifying moment as a young woman makes a new TikTok video. She's dancing in her living room. Suddenly, a man has burst into the apartment through a second-floor balcony door.
Who are you? Please get off. Initially, when I saw his hands in his pockets and I was standing there fearful, I thought maybe he was going to come at me with a weapon.
As she backs out, she's able to grab an image of the intruder standing at the balcony door in Hagerstown, Maryland.
Please get out of my apartment right now.
How creepy, right? Yeah, now Shadowhawk saying no, not worth going to jail for. Well, that means you're not taking a ride with me to Maryland. I'm just curious. I don't know why they're not going to Maryland, but I don't know why they're giving, like, she was just like broken into by a stalker. Why are you giving out her city and state? Does she really need that? This is good publicity for her for TikTok. They should have at least, and I don't think they did, include her TikTok account.
Get out! Get out! Right now, I'm standing directly in front of my apartment, and the second-story balcony right here is where he had entered.
You can hear her knock on a neighbor's door for help.
I recognized him almost immediately based off of his clothing. And knowing that I had seen that face and that outfit around my apartment complex many, many occasions.
25-year-old Hannah Viviret says he could have been much worse.
Had I not made a run
It
for
could have been
the
much
front
worse.
door, he could have possibly tried to, barricade me somewhere else in my apartment.
36-year-old Angel Rodriguez Gomez was charged with burglary, assault, and stalking.
Now, he seems like a nice guy. I don't know why he would do a thing like that. He had his whole future ahead of him. Obviously, the guy's freaking nuts. So it turns out he was apprehended by police only to let go after posting bond, which is making Hannah very nervous. She should be more nervous that they keep giving out her address to, like, the whole world. The only thing law enforcement has been able to tell me is that a lot of it has to do with not wanting him to house him due to COVID. So the good news is, luckily, he was taken into custody by ICE for immigration violations, along with burglary, assault, and other criminal charges. So ICE got him. So it's got a happy ending after all. I don't know why they don't have her TikTok link. You would think that they would be like, hey, yeah, Inside Edition still exists. VileNet, of course. How else would we find out about stories like this? This is important stuff. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, to me, I would say that is not a good situation. That is not such a good situation. We don't like that. I don't know. Crazy, absolutely crazy story. All right. I will give you another story. You guys have probably heard this one. Poor Latita Wright. Poor Latita Wright. All she ever did was slightly question, like, maybe we should double think the COVID-19 vaccinations. Like, maybe it's not 100% great idea. But ultimately, she had to apologize. The thing is you really don't get to actually have an opinion about this. You really don't. Ethan's new comics movement got him. That's right. Exactly right. He got caught up by the independent comics empire, and he will never be the same. But this is kind of I don't know. I mean, she seems cool because of this, but they really went after her. This is from Bounding Into Comics, also a cool website. Black Panther star Latita Wright apologizes for sharing videos skeptical of COVID-19 vaccinations. Actress Latita Wright, best known for portraying Shuri in Black Panther and the last two Avengers films, has apologized for sharing a video that promoted skepticism towards the various COVID-19 vaccines currently being developed. I mean, look, I got to say, I think it's healthy to be skeptical. And you can say it publicly on social media. There's nothing wrong with being skeptical. And you shouldn't lose your career over being skeptical. Right? I mean, you could be wrong. I'm skeptical of trying new things sometimes, not everything, but some things I am. And I mean, that's like the essence of critical thinking, I think, is to be like, well, I don't know. Let me think about this. I'm a little nervous about it. You know, even if you don't have good reason. After founding the Rig Nation Church in 2007, whose goal is to restore the apostolic and prophetic ministry back into the body of Christ, sounds like a nice thing to want to do, and to equip this generation to be in a position and condition for use by God, Tom Aoromi and his brother Toby began to host the affiliated podcast called On the Table, in which the two discuss topics that are often run away from. Okay. So that all sounds good. On December 3rd, Wright shared the YouTube link to the latest episode of the series, which has since been deleted from the platform for violating its content policies, in which the two brothers shared their skepticism and concerns towards the COVID-19 vaccine on her personal Twitter. So she shared this guy's messaging here. That's what got her in trouble. With two hands praying. It seems kind of harmless. In a clip from the now deleted episode posted to the Rig Nation Instagram page, Tommy Aoromi can be seen taking issue with the potential use of the chemical this is a real chemical. Check this out. Luciferase. The chemical luciferase as proposed additive to the future COVID-19 vaccines. There is a chemical called luciferase. The bioluminescence producing chemical, whose name comes from the Greek lightbringer, which is also a cool name, has been proposed as an additive in future COVID-19 vaccines as a way to track who has and has not been inoculated, particularly in underdeveloped countries. Now, do you understand what they're saying? Because I'm looking at it, I'm saying, like, wait a minute. You want to add, as a chemical, you want to add luciferase, which is the name of the chemical, to future COVID-19 vaccines, not magazines, so that you can see, particularly in underdeveloped countries, if people have been vaccinated or not, because they're going to have some sort of a bizarre brightness to them, because that's what these luminescent things actually do. I mean, look, that's enough to at least be a little skeptical about. To be like, look, all right, I'm sure you guys all mean everything, but you're all good, but just explain it to me so that I know it's all good. Like, make me feel good about this. I'm not 100% with you guys lighting people up with this luminescent chemical that's named after, you know, Lucifer, sort of. You want us to not be conspiratorial, exclaimed Aonomi, but you're provoking it. Why? Why? What's wrong with you? Why would you have a product called luciferase? I mean, I'm with him on this. I don't have the same beard. I certainly don't have as cool glasses. I have sunglasses that I like a lot, but I see where he's coming from. At least, like, wait a minute. Let's think about this. Near immediately after sharing the video, Wright was met with pushback and criticism, with some users accusing her of being an anti-vaxxer, while others attempted to inform the actress on the origin of the chemical itself. And you can actually Google luciferase and see what the origin is of it. And, you know, it's obviously, it's not like, you know, this is some devil chemical or whatever. Who knows? It's not, but it is an odd named chemical. And the fact that you're saying, like, well, no, I want these people to have some sort of a glow under their skin to show they've received the vaccination. It's, you know, we're not used to that culturally. So it takes gotta take a little time with that one. As the backlash against her continued to grow, Wright tweeted, quote, "If you don't conform to popular opinions, but ask questions and think for yourself, you get canceled." And she's laughing with the crying. And the thing of it is, yeah, you know, they're not putting her in this position of authority with these positions. I mean, they're giving her the role of Black Panther, supposedly. She's supposed to take over for Black Panther. They don't want They meaning the people that want you to take whatever vaccines they're doing or follow whatever mainstream media is. As you've noticed, most of mainstream media, or 99% of it, all says the same thing. They expect actresses and wealthy Silicon Valley people are all saying the same thing. So yeah, they do kind of expect that you're not going to go against the grain and say, hey, everybody, think for yourself. Because as good as she is, their attitude is going to be like, look, Latita Wright, you're fantastic. You know everything about vibranium, and that is so useful. But honestly, no. If you don't do what they say to do, they're going to find another Latita Wright. Their opinion is that they made her who she is, and they will make another Latita Wright if this one doesn't do what they need her to do. And what they need her to do is just whatever, do your SJW movies and, get people interested. But yeah, you will get canceled in 2 seconds if you're going to go against these kinds of people. In response to one user who wrote that, quote, in biological research, luciferase is commonly used as a reporter to assess activity in cells that are transfected with a genetic construct containing the luciferase gone under the control of a promoter interest. Boy, that's very scientific. Wright noted that the name Lucifer is an interesting choice. Yeah, it is an interesting choice. Opens Bible. It's like, look, because there are people that we do believe in science, and we believe some of what the media says, and we believe authority to some degree. But some people, they do read their Bible. They're into that stuff. And it's like, those people are going to need a little extra convincing that all is well when you say, take this, lighted up luciferase stuff. In another interaction between Wright and her critics, @Flo Mikey told the actress that advocating dangerous ideas is not the same as thinking for yourself. Advocating dangerous ideas? Before calling her an effing letdown? That's not nice. To which she replied, his main point is what is in it, and is it safe for our bodies to take? I took that point from it, she explained. If it disappoints you that I would simply ask this, then my bad. Unbelievable. The problem with stuff like this is, and the same thing with people go into the hospital sometimes and they have things done and whatever, and then there are accidents. And then if there are accidents or bad things happen, then authorities will always say, hey, we're really sorry that happened. Usually they'll be like, oh, sorry about that. Billy Joel has that "We Didn't Start the Fire" song. He sings about the children of thalidomide. Thalidomide was a real thing as a drug that did a lot of damage to people. And what they said about it was, oh, sorry. And so they'll say, oh, sorry. But if you want to make it, if you get a choice of whether or not you're going to have medication or a vaccine or whatever like that, you have to make a decision for yourself if you have a choice, obviously. I don't see anything wrong. I don't know if the chat wouldn't disagree or whatnot, but my God, you should be able to say what you think. You should, quote, you should take a moment to look up these answers for yourself, replied another user. Instead of coming here arguing with us and deflecting anyone that tries to explain why these are not good things you're saying. These are not good things you're saying. What has this world turned into? In turn, Wright asked the user to please note I never said anything. I simply posted a video. And I think the point of asking about it before is valid. Yeah, it is. It is. You're a human being. You have certain rights. Of course, you can ask questions until they make that illegal. Then you better not do it. Eventually, following a day of fan outrage, Wright apologized for sharing the video, telling fans that my only intention was not to hurt anyone. My only intention of posting the video was it raised my concerns with what the vaccine contains and what we are putting into our bodies. Nothing else, she said. I don't know what you guys think of her apology. It's too bad that she had to apologize. And I know there was more to this, and Don Cheadle went after her and stuff. And it's really crazy that, if you say anything that isn't what you're supposed to say, that people consider it dangerous and that words are violence now. I mean, this is not a normal, this is not the world that most of us grew up in. It's really pretty nutty. All right, guys, we're going to do a quick check-in on the Mermaids. I don't know if you guys have seen the latest trailer, but I would love for you to see it. This is done by Ted Zagaro. It is my favorite Ted Zagaro trailer so far. And here we goes. I see RT Bear in the chat, who rocks harder than any of us all put together. I love seeing RT Bear. Art, I hope you're doing good. Art, I gotta get on your show, brother. We gotta be on. We haven't been on the YouTube together in a long, long time. And I don't know if you've seen this, Art. You know, you guys have probably heard that. Oh, by the way, you know, Art is still doing Chrono Mechanics. That is shipping now, I believe. You know what's funny is kind of like never know when Art's books are shipping. And I know you didn't say that just so I mentioned it, but just because I haven't mentioned it yet tonight, and that is my fault, let us all take a moment and just take a quick look at Chrono Mechanics. I'll get Art on to talk about this again and talk about his next projects. I know Art's always doing cool stuff. This is a book by RT Bear. This book is already shipping. Art will correct me if I say anything wrong. It's full color. It's gorgeous. You know what? I honestly don't know when it started shipping, but I know Art still has some available. And I know Art is moving to Texas, which I'm also excited about. Not because I live in Texas, but because it's a place where you have freedom and a better quality of life. But check out Chrono Mechanics by RT Bear if you haven't seen it yet. It is a damn good book. It's full color. It's totally Comicsgate. And while we're at it, you know, I also haven't had a chance to mention yet. I wanted you to just see Johnny Phantasm's toy campaign, because Patrick is doing awesome with the toy campaign, and he sold out of lunchboxes, so he had to add another kind of lunchbox. He added a black lunchbox. 16,221s. Very, very good. People went nuts over his lunchboxes, his gold ones. He sold out of the gold ones, so he had to start up doing black ones. So he's got a short run. I think he's doing like 45 of the black ones, and they're $50, and it's a tin lunchbox, which is very cool. And then, of course, you know, he has mixtures with toys and all that stuff. The whole point of this campaign was to do toys. So I don't know if you guys have seen it or not, if you've supported it or not, but Patrick's a great guy. He has a bunch more Comicsgate books going, and he also is a great supporter of CG, and he's a great supporter of mine too. He's really, really good people. So you want to check him out. So I don't know if you guys have heard this or not, but Warner Brothers is really going for broke. So they decided, like, all right, here's what we're going to do. We are going to, they're pulling all their movies. You probably heard this, but now you're going to hear it from me. They're pulling all their movies and they're saying, okay, well, we're going to offer these through HBO Max simultaneously with movie theaters. AMC, the movie theaters are like, wait a minute. We can't even open. We're not even getting movies. Everyone thinks they're going to die if they go to a movie theater. But here we have Warner Brothers saying, well, here's the deal. We can't really give you an exclusive on the movies. Yes, you can have the movies, but we got to like also offer it on a streaming service. I hope it doesn't bother you. I hope you're cool with that. They didn't even consult them on this. They made a deal for Wonder Woman. They had to make a deal for Wonder Woman. Yeah, Art did a great video promoting CG books last night, and he was drunk. He's like drunk and promoting CG books, whatever it was. It was hysterical. So yeah, subscribe to Art's channel too, by the way. So Warner Brothers is like, look, we don't care, AMC. Do whatever you want to do. That's the one thing I have to say. I guess it's badass, but it's also like really dicky that Warner Media is just like, listen, we got our own thing to do. We don't care how this affects anybody we work with. We don't care about comic stores. We don't care about comic books. We don't care about movie theaters. We don't care about the pandemic. We don't care about anything. We're going to try and make some money over here. And honestly, they bought Warner Media for $105 billion. AT&T did. They bought DirecTV for like $64 billion, including the debt that they took on. They announced a couple months ago that they realized that DirecTV is worth $50 billion less than when they paid when they bought it. So they're taking a $50 million loss on DirecTV. Now, it's not my money and it's not your money, but $50 billion, it's noteworthy because it's a lot of money. So at that point, when you spend $170 billion on something and you've lost $50 billion so far, and the DirecTV problem is not solved yet. It's not solved yet. They could lose the rest of the $14 billion. Who knows? And then they've got Warner Media on the other side, which is also kind of a freaking mess. And they never had the right management in the first place. It's a disaster. So I understand them being so aggressive and basically being like, hey, listen, here's the deal. If HBO Max works, which I think they should rename HBO Max to HBO Plus, like Disney Plus. Why? Because then people would assume, oh, it's your streaming service, and it sounds like Plus. You're getting HBO, and you're getting more. I don't know. I like it. They have to do it eventually. But anyway, their plan is if they can make HBO Max work, that means they're okay. They're going to be just fine. They can get $200 billion out of HBO Max if it works. Fox was going to buy HBO, and they turned it down. Time Warner turned it down in 2014 for $80 billion. They did not want to sell HBO because it was that valuable. And if you think about it, HBO is like goes back to the 70s. It was like the first paid TV, like with cable. It was a very, very big deal. So they should be able to have a subscription service that works for HBO Plus, not Max. Plus is what I like to call it, because they should. They have millions of people for generations who've been paying for HBO extra money. So why shouldn't they be able to do it? So hopefully it works for them. But anyway, that's why they don't care. Because if you think about it, like, even if they get screwed on the movies, let's say on average, the movies cost $200 million each to make. They have 17 movies. That's $3.4 billion they have invested. So then maybe they're going to spend another $1.5 billion, $1.6 billion in marketing, because they do spend a lot of money on marketing. I don't think they'll spend as much on marketing now. Why? Because you're not going to get people to theaters. Sometimes they spend as much on marketing as they spend on making the movie. But they don't need to spend $200 million marketing some movie because people aren't going no matter what you do. So you can spend a little on marketing, maybe half. So if it all just didn't work, but it got them some HBO Max subscribers and they lost $5 billion, what's $5 billion anymore? They lost $50 billion on DirecTV. So if this investment in their movie catalog means that HBO's streaming service works, the HBO Max streaming service just works sort of, and they get built it up. I mean, they have like, I don't know if I'm going to mention numbers here or not. I've seen different numbers, but they're getting some subscribers. If they can get people to subscribe to HBO Max, it will save Warner Media. If they can't, they can't. But what were they going to do with the movies anyway? But the movie theaters are in such they were in incredible trouble before all of this. And the movie theaters are like besides themselves. So AMC Theaters is strongly against Warner Brothers releasing its 2021 slate on HBO Max. Movie theater, this is coming from MovieWeb. Definitely check out MovieWeb. It's a pretty cool, interesting site. Also subscribe to the channel. Click the bell for notifications if you haven't already. Appreciate that. Movie theaters are barely surviving at the moment, and many fear that Warner Brothers' new release strategy will have devastating effects on the industry. I think it will. The industry is already devastated, so what else is going to happen? AMC Theaters is strongly against Warner Brothers' hybrid release strategy. The studio surprised the entertainment industry this morning when they announced that they will be releasing all of their 2021 movies on HBO Max and theaters simultaneously. While this is certainly great news for people who've been waiting to see these new movies, it could have a devastating effect on the industry as a whole. Well, how? How could it have a is it going to cause people to not go to the movies? Because they're already not going to the movies. So how is it going to have a devastating effect on the movie industry? Now, one factor is if you think this, like, remember the movie Joker, and this doesn't happen too often, but people sometimes go, they see a movie they love, and then they go they're going to want to go see it again and again and again. Very likely that someone goes and let's say they go see Matrix 4, which is one of these movies. They love Matrix 4. They think it's really, really cool. But even going to the theater once to go see it, they should just stay home and watch it 100 more times on HBO Max. That's a real possibility. And I think they'll get a lot of that. Like when Joker was hot, I was doing some videos about the Joker movie. And some people would comment in the comments, like, I've seen Joker 8 times. And I'm like, 8 times? Like, hey, someone's like, I've seen Joker 10 times. 10 times? I mean, it was good, but I don't know that I go see it 10 times. I mean, I guess it's like a social experience with your friends. So that I understand, but I wouldn't go see it 10 times. But now that it's in theaters, like, and HBO Max, you would look at it and be like, well, all right, $15 a month for HBO Max, whatever. And I just saw the movie that cost me, like, between popcorn and let's say you even go yourself, it's going to be like $30. So it's like, all right, I may as well get HBO Max. There's other movies that are going to be on it too. Adam Aron, CEO and president of the AMC Entertainment, spoke out against the new Warner Brothers release schedule for the next year. Cinemark also commented on the plan today. They're like this one level under AMC, Cinemark, and they have similar feelings. AMC was all on board with the decision to release Wonder Woman 1984 using the hybrid method, but they are not behind the entire year. You can read what Aaron had to say about the new deal's possible effects on movie theaters. All right, let's see the quote. Movie theaters are screwed. There's no way around it. But you have to look at it this way too. Like, studios, they have these movies. What are they going to do with them? They've got to release them. You know, they can only sit on them for so long. And then but if the releasing of the movies does substantially help build their subscription service for HBO Max, it really kind of does make business sense. Because again, the worst thing that happens is, oops, we lost $1 billion, or oops, we lost $2 billion. Well, they're losing tens of billions of dollars by the year. So they're not going to lose something substantial. And right now is when history is really being made with these streaming services. You have Netflix with like 180 million subscribers, and you've got Disney Plus with like 75 million subscribers. And there's a new big streaming service called Discovery Plus, which is Discovery Channel, launching in January. They're going to have 50 million subscribers through a deal with Verizon, without having to buy Verizon or having Verizon buy them. They just made a deal. It's like, that's how you're supposed to do it, not what AT&T did. But HBO Max can't screw around. They got to make something happen. They got to make it happen now. So this is what Aaron said. Quote, these coronavirus impacted times are uncharted waters for all of us, which is why AMC signed on to an HBO Max exception to customary practices for one film only, Wonder Woman 1984. She does look hot in that gold outfit, I do have to say, her gold armor. Being released by Warner Brothers at Christmas when the pandemic appears it will be at its height. However, Warner now hopes to do this for all their 2021 theatrical movies, despite the likelihood that with vaccines right around the corner, the theater business is expected to recover. Aaron, not really. Not really. I mean, they're going to just start distributing vaccines at the end of December. They'll be more widely available over time. But the first thing people are not doing is going out to run out and watch movies. So, I mean, like, I don't even know what point he's making. You know, also to get a perspective of size and the companies and stuff that they're dealing with, AMC is like a $700 million company or something like that, and they have hundreds of millions of dollars of debt. AT&T is a $200+ billion company, but even the Warner division is a $100 billion company. They have like 100 50 billion in debt or something like that, some astronomical amount, much, 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 much bigger numbers. So they're looking at movie theaters and they're like, yeah, well, this is really the perfect year for Warner Brothers to do this. Nobody even expects movies to make any money over the next year. So why wouldn't they do this? Adam Aaron also says that his chain, which operates 659 locations as the largest U.S. exhibitor, is being asked to subsidize HBO Max, Aaron states. Clearly, Warner Media intends to sacrifice a considerable portion of the profitability of its movie studio division and that of its production partners and filmmakers to subsidize its HBO Max startup. As it stands, it looks like AMC is willing to fight Warner Brothers. How are you going to fight them? Aaron has this to say about Warner Brothers using AMC to subsidize HBO Max. Now, what Aaron is saying is correct. What people can do about it is not an effing thing. There's nothing they can do about it. You know, when you make a movie like Warner Brothers, well, all the studios do this, all their production deals, you know, they may have like, supposedly Gal Gadot got $300,000 to be Wonder Woman in the first film. So when she got to the second film, they paid her a lot more. Maybe, I think it's 20 times as much, 6 million or something. But you also get a percentage after you're a proven success or whatever you negotiate. But ain't going to be somebody new who's not had a success who negotiates, you know, what they call private participation or a back-end deal. Doesn't happen. So, but if you have a successful first movie like Wonder Woman did, yes, Gal Gadot, if that would have done numbers like Wonder Woman 1, Wonder Woman 1984, that would have been lots of extra millions of dollars for Gal Gadot, for her, the producers, the guys that have the rights, the guys that do fancy schmancy wheeling and dealing. And when they take these movies and they're like, well, guess what? We're not going to movie theaters. Well, we're kind of going to movie theaters somewhat, but hey, you know, this is kind of a pandemic, but we're also going to put it into HBO Max. That screws up all the business deals. But it doesn't screw up all the business deals that they can't still do the movies. It basically just means, yeah, that extra $30 million you might have gotten, you're not getting it. You know, we'll give you an extra $1 million. What can you do about it? Go cure the pandemic. So there's nothing that they can do. So that will screw the producers. That will screw the studio. The studio's screwed also because they don't want to have to do this. But what choice do they possibly have? The only other choice they would have is instead of doing HBO Max, they could do like what they did with Mulan. But while Mulan looked like their rental strategy was successful initially, I've seen some stuff on it since. It didn't make as much money as they were hoping it would. So you're not going to see more of that like rental, $30 rental Mulan thing. It didn't click. I thought it would have. It just didn't work. Nobody was that excited to see Mulan. If they did it with another Avengers movie, maybe. But, you know, realistically, what Warner Brothers is doing is what these studios are going to be forced to do. They aren't doing this in the rest of the world, though. In foreign markets, they don't have HBO Max, so they're just letting them be in theaters. And, you know, it just is what it is. Let's poor AMC. They have no leverage. There's nothing they can do about it. But yeah, it's a good move for Warner Media, and that's the way business is, I guess, these days. I feel like I have a lot of loyalty to people, and people in Comicsgate have loyalty to me, but people do not have loyalty to like studios and these. Everything is getting changed now. Quote: as for AMC, we will do all in our power to ensure that Warner does not do so at our expense. You have nothing. You have no power. We will aggressively pursue economic terms that preserve our business. We've already commenced on an immediate and urgent dialogue with the leadership of Warner on this subject. You know how you can tell, like, Warner could care less, basically, is AMC is the #1 theater chain, according to AMC, with 659 locations. And you get the sense that Warner made this announcement and like they're saying it, like they didn't even consult these guys. They didn't even sit down and say like, hey, you know, we have problems. You know, we've got a lot of debt. We've got a lot of things we've got to work on. We all got this stupid pandemic thing to work on. I don't want this to be a surprise to you. We've consulted our board of directors. We need to make an announcement. The announcement, you're not going to like it, but the announcement is we're going to need to release on HBO Max simultaneous with theaters. And here's how we see that this could actually help you. And Warner Brothers has since said they think it could help theaters in a way. I don't see how it's going to help theaters, but they have an idea of how it can help theaters. You smooth things over a little bit because at the time, AMC, like right now, like literally the same day that Warner Brothers announced this, AMC had a public announcement out saying that they're just announcing a new stock offering for $840 million or something. AMC is trying to raise right now on the same day. They're trying to raise $840 million so they have some cash at AMC to pay the bills and pay for stuff while the pandemic continues to ruin their business, which of course would be a very silly thing to give AMC money for absolutely any purpose, because this is not good times for movie theaters. While Adam Aaron and AMC are going through some tough times, there is some good news on the horizon, he says. As this issue gets sorted out, we are nonetheless encouraged that vaccines protecting society at large against the coronavirus are very much at hand. A few vaccines are currently on the fast track, but it's still going to be a while longer for the world to wait. So it is our expectation that moviegoers soon will be able to once again delight in coming to our theaters without any worry, viewing the world's best movies safely in our big seats, with our big sound and on our big screens. Big, big, big. Can you believe it? Yeah, I don't know. I'm not convinced. I'm not convinced at all. Warner Brothers seems to have every intention of moving on with their 2021 release date schedule. There is absolutely no way that Warner Brothers is going to go back on doing this. They're doing it. If they get $0 from movie theaters, they're 100% fine with that. Their plan is they must make more people subscribe to HBO Max, which should be renamed HBO Plus. But they have to get people to subscribe to HBO Max, because if they do, their company is saved. If they don't, they are destroyed. Batman is not saving their ass. There's no Batman. Superman can't save them. Nothing can save them if HBO Max doesn't work. It is believed that many people in the industry were caught off guard with the studio's announcement this morning, based on their responses, obviously, and several are wondering if other studios will attempt to follow suit. Of course they will. For now, we'll just have to wait and see. The AMC comments on the new Warner hybrid system were first reported by Variety. Yeah, I don't know what you guys think. Hey, it's Kirk. What's up, Kirk Lindo? How you doing, my man? And Rick Saylor. Good to see you, my man, Rick. Yeah, I mean, look, business is rough, especially always good to see Kirk. Yeah, back to Mermaids, epicmermaids.com, and click on any of those links. Thank you for your support of the Mermaids. Share the Mermaids online. Why should you share the Mermaids? So more people can find out about it. So we can beat the SJW Mermaids at their own SJW game. Thirsty Mermaids. Ridiculous. Rick Saylor. Used to go to the movies twice a month before those virtue signaling and COVID bullshit started. I know, there's no movies to see anymore. The only thing it really concerns me about all of this change to streaming, it concerns me a lot, actually, is that if we're just stuck paying for streaming services and we don't have choice, at some point, like, we're going to get stuck with worse and worse content, all the time. It's not good. Was Wonder Woman 1984 worth the wait? I'm curious. I like her in that gold outfit, as I said earlier. Wonder Woman 1984 first reactions arrive. Is it worth the wait? The long-awaited sequel is now only weeks away from opening in theaters and premiering on HBO Max, which, as you guys know, should be renamed HBO Plus. She looks strong. The first reactions for Wonder Woman 1984 are in. Have you heard this? I hadn't heard this. This just happened. It's breaking. Breaking news. Breaking. Comicsgate news. Here it comes. The first reactions for Wonder Woman 1984 are in. The long-awaited sequel is one of 2020's most anticipated movies, and it's only weeks away from premiering. Warner Brothers has decided that the movie, along with all of their upcoming 2021 releases, we already know that, will open in theaters and on HBO Max simultaneously. One other comment about that I also thought was kind of impressive. On all their movie posters and all their commercials and all their marketing, they're going to slip in, premiering December 25th in movie theaters and HBO Max. So they're going to be able to promote the name HBO Max on the back of all of their movie marketing for the entire year. There's no way they start this and then they stop it. They're good. They're doing this. This is like, finally we've seen the convergence of, digital kind of moving into number one top tier distribution for major movies, these $200 million movies. Pretty incredible in our time. All right. For Wonder Woman fans, Christmas Day can't come soon enough, especially after waiting so long to see what Patty Jenkins and Gal Gadot have been hyping for well over a year now. There are no spoilers for Wonder Woman 1984 below. I don't mind some spoiling. After numerous delays, is Wonder Woman 1984 worth the wait? According to the first reactions to the sequel, it very much is. It's good news if you like Wonder Woman. The early reactions are extremely positive, which should be good news for everybody who's been waiting so long to see the movie. Wonder Woman 1984 is fantastic. Okay. The story is excellent. It has a great timely message. That worries me. It packs in a ton of surprises, and amazing work is done with both Cheetah and Max Lord. Get hyped because it's the real deal, says Cinema Blend's Eric Eisenberg. That doesn't sound bad. Wonder Woman 1984 features the return of Gal Gadot and Chris Pine. Fans have been wondering about Pine's return as Steve Trevor, and apparently his storyline was done very well. GameSpot's Mike Ragu has said, it's absolutely delightful and a wonderful movie for this moment in time. It made me feel things. Oh, that's nice. Chris Pine's return is done well and makes sense. Gal is, of course, a goddess. That's a bit much. She's beautiful, but a goddess. There are also newcomers to the franchise this time around, as Pedro Pascal is Maxwell Lord and Christine Wiig portrays Cheetah, a.k.a. Barbara Minerva. Rago continues, Kristen is great, but Pedro almost steals the show. Dude goes hard. Aren't you a little too old to talk like that? Probably. Both Pascal and Wiig have been getting heaps of praise for their performances in Wonder Woman 1984. Elsewhere, Gizmodo reporter Jermaine Lucien. One of these guys get like normal names, like Adam Post. Let's just stick my name in instead, because it's easier. Elsewhere, Gizmodo reporter Adam Post says that Wonder Woman 1984 is full of much-needed hope, though he does have a few gripes, namely the runtime, which is just revealed to be 2 hours and 31 minutes. 2 hours and 31 minutes. It's also very long, to a fault at times, but mostly it reminded me how wonderful a big blockbuster can make you feel, he says. Since the majority of viewers will be watching from comforts of their own home on HBO Max, the runtime should not be an issue, since they can pause and come back to it if they feel the need to, though that won't help any story problems. That is too long of a runtime for this movie. They should have broken it into 3 movies, maybe 2. One reaction to Wonder Woman 1984 declares, not everything adds up, but the value of selflessness, love, and compassion do shine through. You can't please everybody, which is something that Patty Jenkins and crew knows all too well. Plus, they're coming off of the success of the first Wonder Woman movie, which was a box office and critical success. There's a lot to live up to, and so far it seems that Jenkins was able to put together a gigantic sequel that is full of heart. You can head over to the official HBO Max website to get information about signing up for a subscription ahead of Wonder Woman 1984's premiere. Well, I mean, it sounds like probably it is pretty good. I don't like that they took her sword away. They were saying, I guess it's too aggressive to have a sword. Ridiculous. It was cool in the first movie. If it's cool, that should be enough, you know? If it's cool, keep it. If it's not cool, don't keep it. I think you guys, Shadowhawk says, I love Gal, but the movie was just good, not great. Yeah, it was good. It was good. 2 hours and 31 minutes, like 2.5 hours, more than 2 hours, and the story doesn't work really. That's a grind. That's not good. I didn't see The Croods #1. You want to know the secret message in Star Wars' Mandalorian in Chapter 14? Let's check it out. I can't resist. You guys are too fun anyways. Star Wars fans have decoded Boba Fett's message in The Mandalorian Chapter 14. The Mandalorian Season 2 reintroduced Star Wars fans to a fan favorite character, Boba Fett, who is played by somebody whose name I don't feel like saying. All right. Temuera Morrison. How do you have a name like Temuera? I never heard that one before. Star Wars fans have already decoded Boba Fett's chain code from The Mandalorian Season 2. The hit Disney Plus series showed Temuera Morrison at the very end of Chapter 9, which led to a whole bunch of speculation as to what was going to happen in Season 2. Just seeing the old damaged Boba Fett armor would have been enough for Star Wars fans, but Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau have decided to take it one step further. There are spoilers for The Mandalorian Season 2 below. It does seem risky. I mean, I think anybody who cares has kind of seen it already. Foundling took into the year the Concord Dawn mentored Jace for the Boba Fett. In Chapter 14 of The Mandalorian, our hero takes Grogu, which is Baby Yoda, to the planet Tython. However, when he arrives, he learns that he's not alone. Din Djarin, that name I like, is soon face to face with Boba Fett, who is looking to get his armor back and willing to stop at nothing to get what belongs to him. That I can understand. Fennec Shand, who everybody assumed was dead, is also there, working with Boba Fett. Why not? Obviously, Djarin is not going to give up the armor because of his creed, but the Empire, who is back, shows up in an attempt to kidnap Grogu, that cute little Baby Yoda guy, which leads to Boba Fett getting his armor of his own. Okay, getting armor of his own. Good for him. I haven't seen it. After battling the Empire, Boba Fett confronts Din Djarin and explains the importance of the armor and what it means to him. All right. In order to prove it, he pulls up to a 25-year-old chain code. Okay, a 25-year-old chain code, which Djarin immediately understands, but most of us at home had no idea what the code said. Thankfully, a few hardcore Star Wars fans cracked the code and learned that it translates to Foundling took into the year Concord Dawn, mentored Jast, father fed Boba Fett. That's a cracked code. Doesn't make any sense to me. Concord Dawn is the home planet of Boba Fett's clone father, Jango Fett. Clone father? If your father is a clone, is it really your father? Better ask your mom. Who was a foundling, just like Din Djarin. Father Fett is likely a reference to Jango, where mentor is Jast is probably a reference to Jaster, Muriel, who is also from Concord Dawn. The planet, of course. In the Legends canon, Jaster was Jango's adoptive father. This seems a little convoluted. All right. It seems that Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni are diving deep into the Legends to retcon a history for Boba Fett. Hopefully they can turn him into a woman, which is rumored to be part of a spin-off prequel series taking place before the events of The Mandalorian. Why not? The chain code goes on, but it can't be deciphered, which means there is some Boba Fett history to dive into. Speculation about a live-action Boba Fett series is everywhere at this moment, with casting reportedly already taking place. So it's going to happen. For now, the iconic bounty hunter is in debt to Din Djarin for retrieving his armor and will help the hero on his next mission. That's nice, which is going to be a big one. The Mandalorian Chapter 14 was a massive episode filled with a lot of information in a very short amount of time. You can check out the chain code translation above, thanks to Best of Fett Twitter account. I mean, that's kind of cool when fans get together and they solve like little mysteries inside the project. And the beat up armor is cool. Boba Fett was always a cool character. Would have been cool if George Lucas just kind of kept Lucasfilm and actually made the Star Wars movies the way he wanted to. But I don't know. I mean, you kind of never know what he would have done with them anyways. All right, guys. I'm going to get rolling. I really appreciate all you guys. Eric Huffles. I forgot to say hi to Eric Huffles. What am I ever going to do? The man himself, Sketch Therapy. Great to see you. Thank you so much. Richard B. Great to see you. Great to see all you guys. Great to be hanging out with you guys, spend a little time with you. I appreciate you guys for hanging out and watching some of this fun stuff with me. So definitely subscribe to the channel. Click the bell for notifications. I really appreciate that. And check out the Mermaids. See if it's your type of thing, my man. I think you'll love it. It is going to be coming out pretty soon. The book is completely done. I did spend a lot of time working on this. I'm really happy with how it came out. It will be shipping April 2021. Just check it out. Definitely share it on social media. That's a huge help to me as well. And I will see you again soon. And if I don't see you, I hope you know I will miss you. Have a great night, guys. Stay out of trouble. I'll talk to you soon.